The journey of me as a writer was a roller coaster ride regarding my interest in writing. That interest often fluctuated depending on the topic and the word goal of the assignment. The first interesting topic with a reasonable word goal took place in my ESL class in 7th grade. I was writing an essay on one of my favorite children's books. However, my second writing experience was not something I hoped to write. I was writing a letter to my 8th grade English teacher when her mother passed away. She was absent for most of the year as a result, and I wanted to write a letter to remind her that we, the students, were there to support her in those dire times. Due to my horrible English at that time, I doubt the message went across. Since that day, I wanted to write so I could clearly convey my message in the time of need. Lastly, my final and the most extensive writing experience occurred in this class since English 1101 to 2367. The writing projects in these classes gave me a boost of confidence and sharpened my research skills regarding credibility. Thus, I started my writer's journey with a children's book, and I am continuing that path with these college English courses. When I began to synthesize children's books, Dr. Seuss's books of rhymes were my first stop. I learned how to use words and rhymes, and I wrote an entire essay with rhyming sentences in my 7th grade class. Dr. Seuss was spitting fire, and so was I. My English teacher's reaction to my rhyming essay was priceless. She told me to read the essay in front of the class. The moment I realized that rhyming and wordplay were my favorite part of being a writer. I wrote short poems and tongue twisters in my diary for fun. I even wrote about my background in my junior year when all I had to do was write an essay. I may have stolen information from many poets, but at that time, I was not aware of the consequences of plagiarism, nor did I know how to cite. Thus, I became a writer because I loved rhymes and wordplay. Another incident that has convinced me to become a better writer was the death of my English teacher's mother. Particularly, I wanted to write words of comfort, but my lack of writing experience preventing me from doing so. I only had experience with rhyming words, and I figured that spitting rhymes was not the smartest way of feeding the message of sorrow. So I wrote a one-page letter, letting the teacher know that reuniting with the students would be more comforting than disconnecting from the community. Sadly, my message was not enough to convince her to stay, and she moved out of state, leaving the students with one less year of English than everyone else. I blame my inexperience as a writer that I could not make her stay. Due to that experience, I realized the importance of writing a persuasive message with strong support and few grammatical errors, because if my letter was clear, convincing, and lacked mistakes, I may have had a better chance of making my English teacher stay. That experience has been a great motivation to me as a writer and continues to inspire me to this day. That incident has saved my journey as a writer, and it will continue forever until my death because writing is a learning experience. My latest and the most memorable writing experience happened at this building. My English 1101 and 2367 courses have taught me the importance of citation, evidence, and most importantly, credibility. Before the classes started, I expected any sources, as long as they were publicly available, to be credible. That misconception had cost me letter grades in previous English classes, but I was not able to pinpoint the exact causes of my mistake. Now I'm aware that not all sources are created equal. In fact, even the most credible sources will contain some form of bias or lies which can hurt the credibility of the source. This information that humans are pathological liars has taught me to intake information with a grain of salt, and has ultimately made me a better writer. When I look at the essays from my sophomore year and compare it to WP3, there's a distinct difference in tone, credibility, and grammatical errors. There's no doubt that I've improved as a writer, and my recent writing projects prove that. My journey as a writer has had highs and lows concerning shifts of interest. I started with writing rhymes with children's book in middle school to writing well-composed essays at the end of high school. However, that does not necessarily mean that I have moved away from writing rhymes. In fact, my diary has never been this full of rhymes, and I've never had this much fun while writing. The poems tell a journey of my writing experience as they start off with unintelligible gibberish and continue to improve. Additionally, the incidents of my English teacher losing her loved one moved me to be a more convincing, error-free writer. It also made me realize the importance of support and evidence in a well-written paper. Also, the latest writing experience in my college course has increased my trust issues with random sources on the internet. Therefore, when I leave this building, I will be a student who strives to clearly convey his message in a persuasive, coherent, and errorless manner through writing.